because it's not taking them to my level, it's taking them to their next level. It's like, punching me in the face. And you live in America, how come you're not rich?
Today on the pod, we have Andrzej Nedoma, who's a Polish entrepreneur who has more than 25 years of experience in building service, translation businesses, and SaaS businesses in this industry.
I'd like to see the business like this is in front of me, here in my hands. And looking at this from a certain perspective, so what's the next thing that I should improve here? So what's looking well? And what's not so well.
And nowadays, he has a consulting business advisory called Nedoma, where he specializes in helping other entrepreneurs to scale, build better companies with less stress.
20% of activities produce 80% of results. It's easy to look for excuses everywhere, but in fact, we should position ourselves on top of this list and maybe say, well, maybe I'm the problem.
Andrzej, amazing to have you on the show today. Where are you from?
Thank you very much. I'm coming from Krakow, Poland.
Krakow, Poland. So I'm in Riga. So let's rock and roll.
Great to see you.
Your experience, what has been the businesses you built and then you kind of sold? What are they? Can you give maybe some background information?
Sure. So I started joining my father one-man show. It was a translation company. So we were doing multilingual documentation, translating from one into many languages. And I joined him and developed this company into one of the biggest in Europe, in Central Europe. And the other business was IT. So the first one was services, right? Professional services business. The second one was IT. We're developing software as a service kind of system, ERP, so a management software for the translation and localization market worldwide. So a software that helped automate and streamline operation within translation space.
How big were the businesses and how many employees?
No, at a certain moment, altogether, I had like nearly 140 people.
Mm-hmm. And how much revenue the businesses were doing per year?
Several million euros in recurring revenue.
Interesting. And you exited some of them, or was this?
I sold both of them. So when I started, it was the translation company. As I said, it was my father who started this. So I joined him after I finished my studies, and I wanted to develop his company. He was, a passionate translator. So I was rather a passionate business person. So I wanted to develop this and grow this as a company, as a business. And when we developed this, to a considerable amount, in the meantime, I saw the need for software to actually manage this properly. So I started the other business, IT, which I founded and I was the CEO of. And in the meantime, I also became the managing director of the translation services and business as well. And since we raised capital for the IT, so software as a service company, we had venture capital on board. And both of the companies were growing, but in fact, IT company was growing even faster. Well, I kind of realized that, I'm cutting myself in half and I do not know how to keep all of that together. And at the same time, my father really wanted to step back, and he didn't want to be so much involved in business anymore, and he wanted to retire. So he came to this family conclusion that we would lead the first company till exit, and this was my role. So we sold this company in 2016 to the global player, one of the biggest translation companies worldwide. And I focused on the IT business, which I led through, lots of growth and lots of hiccups. Also, it was quite a bumpy road. And we bought out our investors in 2020. And in 2021, we sold the whole company to a huge private equity from Los Angeles.
How much did you sell it for?
Oh, that's something I cannot say. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
The businesses.
I'm not allowed to share this information. Yeah.
And then, as I understand right now, you're more focusing on helping other entrepreneurs to do similar things.
When we sold for the second time, so I did my second exit, this was pretty big transaction, quite frankly. And we were really on our market, the translation and localization market. There were two softwares that were really like leading, and we were one of them. So it was a pretty known transaction. And because of that, lots of entrepreneurs started to contact me and ask for help. And I found myself doing advisory and consulting services for CEOs and entrepreneurs. And this is how I basically found myself in this place. And later, when I was thinking about, what's my next step, what's my next move, I was thinking for something bigger than advisory. And I found that coaching could be a great expansion of advisory offer, because advisory serves like, I know the answers better, so you come for advice. So there is a certain limit, right? I can take my clients to my level, which I thought is limited. Coaching is about, using all the experience from building the business on my own. It was like 25 years of being the CEO, but applying this into the process of helping others to make smart decisions, challenge them in these decisions, and keep them accountable so that they actually execute on these decisions, right? And this is coaching. And this is much more powerful because it's not taking them to my level, it's taking them to their next level, which is amazing. And this is what I can do right now with people who are even way above me in terms of business, because it's a process through which I help them achieve their next level, not mine. This is amazing. So now it is coaching and advisory. I kind of mixed the two words or two worlds, because I think that mixture is what really people need. So they do not just want to have a coach who is totally like independent from the CEO life, but having someone who lived this life for so many years and can understand and relate to this, because then where the magic really happens and people open up. And through this challenging and thinking together, we can really come up with very smart solutions, and it's amazing.
I think one of the first topics I would love to cover is this saying, working on your business, not in it. But then the big question is, how does that actually apply practically? So what are the things would be considered working on the business? Because as a CEO, you're typically like spread everywhere, at least
especially
in my experience also.
Especially at the beginning. And we want to change that, right? One of my programs today, I'm helping entrepreneurs to switch from stressed and overwhelmed to purpose-driven and joyful and fulfilled. Because when they are like all over the place and doing all this stuff within operations and being stressed with everything, this is really where the overwhelm comes from, right? Because they are involved in everything, which is not so good. This is natural way to start the business, because most of the businesses are started from a certain passion to a product, to a service, or a certain skill. And we develop this skill, start to add maybe some colleagues or friends who help us so that we can deliver more value to the marketplace. But basically, it's the founder who is at the core of everything, right? So he's super busy working, but has very little time to actually see that business as a mechanism that we can optimize. And I really like this, picture that I often use for myself, that I don't want to be in the center of the business, but I'd like to see the business like this is in front of me, here in my hands. And this is a certain system, like a ball or something, right? And looking at this from a certain perspective, I can think, okay, so what's the next natural thing that I should improve here? So what's working well within this product? I'm looking from outside, right? So what's looking well and what's not so well? So I'm rather thinking about the business as a mechanism that functions. And this mechanism, of course, joins people, technology, other resources to deliver certain value, right? But since I don't want to be that much involved in what's happening inside, I have the time to step back, look at this mechanism from outside, so work on the business and really think, how can I improve that, right? And this is a big switch. This is what I'm very often helping right now, especially CEOs at the early stage to do this switch, because this is critical if you want to scale the business. Otherwise, you will become the limit of your growth. And one day, I can tell you, my investors told me that. I was super frustrated to hear that. Like, I was putting everything to this business, like my whole life, my whole energy, a huge amount of time. And hearing that, but you're limiting our growth. It was like punching me in the face. And actually, when you think about this, there's a lot of truth in this, because if you hold so many decisions for you and you're involved in so many places, then your time, 24 hours a day, become the limit. And you cannot just, work 25. Yeah. So the point is, you need to start delegating. You need to involve more people so that they actually execute on stuff. You step back or you step up, and you look at that from outside, and you focus on thinking, okay, where are we going, by the way? So getting clarity on the direction, on the purpose, the mission, the vision that we have. And then if we know where are we going, then how do we want to get there? Like what needs to happen to actually get there? And influencing the people, your team that you manage, so that they understand the goal, they understand the why. So the reason why is this important that we actually do this, that we deliver this value to the marketplace or whatever you're changing. And once they do, they will be engaged to go there with you. And then it's managing people and helping them execute in an alignment within the whole team so that we actually go there. You see how different it is? It becomes like really managing something that you can see from outside. And that's the beauty. And then you can scale infinitely. Does it make sense?
It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And once you were talking about it, I was already thinking about my business, about our operations, and also like where I am the limiting factor in this operation.
I thought super hard to admit that, but it's super hard to admit that. But once you are ready to say, yeah, I need to change something within myself so that we can grow, I think that's a lot of courage in this. It's super powerful if you can do it. So congratulations, you are already thinking that way.
Many times also the limiting factor could be the business model. Like, for example, like a local marketing agency where they charge little money, client retention is not so great, and there's maybe not so much room for hiring management people, better people. The business just doesn't make sense. Those cases also can be.
So you mean the limit for growth might be within the market itself, right?
Within the market, within the pricing, with just the business, how it's the nature of the business.
Of course it can. But this is important to realize. So what do we want to achieve, right? Because if the goal is we just want to serve 5 clients that exist in the whole world, and this is our market, and this is what fulfills you, then you probably are okay with that, right? But if your mission goes beyond that, like we want to produce the best CRM in the world, or we want to change how modern, sales teams work, or we want to provide efficiency or eliminate friction from salespeople, I don't know, whatever it is, your statement, then it's probably pretty big. And, I really love this story of Jim Rohn. I don't know if you heard about him. Jim Rohn,
of course, know him.
So Jim Rohn is fantastic. He was telling this story how he didn't succeed in life when he was, a young boy, and he was living in America. And he had this list of excuses or difficult challenges he's facing that basically come in the way of his growth. So in a certain way, made it super difficult for him, or he cannot achieve. So he had a good list of excuses why it's not working, right? And he was telling the story that when he was talking to his mentor, and the mentor asked, look, you are young and healthy and you look good and you have fantastic ideas and you live in America, how come you're not rich? And so he could provide the answer in the form of this list, everything that was there, like the taxes, prices, market, politics, everything, right? And the guy said, yeah, this list is pretty good, but there is one problem with your list. He asked, what's this problem with my list? And he said, you are not on top of it, right? And you should be on this list, right? So it's easy to look for excuses everywhere. But in fact, we should position ourselves on top of this list and maybe say, well, maybe I'm the problem. Like I need to change the way I think. I need to change the way I manage. I need to change the way I talk about my business, or I need to change aspirations maybe, or change the way I lead people. So if you take the ownership and you say, okay, whom do I need to become so that we grow to that level? That's a great question.
Who do I need to become to grow the business? What is some maybe 5-minute masterclass on how to define your vision for a company?
Vision really comes from your from junction of your personal aspirations and your business aspirations. I often ask my clients first, what are you after? What do you want from life? What is the lifestyle that you want for yourself? So I like to understand what people want for themselves and how they want to live. And only then I ask them, okay, so how do you want to see your business in future? What is it that you are working on? And and then only we work on aligning those two. Because the point is the vision and mission of the business, how you want to see this develop, and what role you see for yourself within this business should be in alignment with your personal ambitions, because otherwise you might sabotage these things. Because if you know you're working on something, but in fact for yourself you want a different life, you'll not be fully engaged in this mission and vision, right? So I think it's very important that this mission and vision for business actually comes from your ambitions and aligns with how you want to lead your life. And then the second question is, why is that important? Like, for whom is it important? Because we might come up with fancy big dreams and say, this is my vision. But we don't want this vision to be actually empty, so that you just, put it on the website but never look at this, because then it doesn't make sense, right? If you really want to have a vision that you live, you perform your life to match this vision, then it should mean something for you. And probably there is a reason. Why is this important? Like what's there? And then this mission really becomes to mean something important. I can share with you a story, like real discussion with a client. I will not say who is it, because we don't want to disclose that. But this person told me, look, I'm developing this this coaching or consultancy business that she was developing, and she had this mission to provide help to many entrepreneurs or whatever. And she told me, I'm not really like feeling the energy to actually act on it, to do it. And so I asked her, but why are you doing this, by the way? So because she's a pretty wealthy woman. And I said, so what's in it for you? Why do you want to do it? And she said, well, I want to actually have some money that I control, because there is lots of money that we have, which is coming from my husband. And she wanted to have money that she feels she earned and she can use as she wants. I said, great. That really sounds profound. How will you use this money when you have them? And she said, well, actually, I'd like to build a sort of refugee or a support system for young people, teenagers, who are suffering from depression. And she started to tell me the story of her grandmother who committed a suicide out of depression. And she said, there is so many young people who are also depression, and for some of them we might be too late. It's important to provide the support. And by the way, if she creates this fund that will support these young people, she wanted to call this fund after the name of her grandmother. And I said, wow. So actually you're saying that you're doing coaching and advisory to earn some money so that you can build a fund that will support teenagers to help them go through depression so that they do not commit suicide. And she said, yeah, that's it. And we started to discuss this, and I said, look, this is such a profound purpose that if you think about this, probably I was moved. I'm moved like right now when I think about this, right? I was moved during this call, and I said, look, this is such an amazing story, and I'm sure that if you share this story with other people, you can find those who will give you money to support that initiative. You can find those who will become volunteers and they will help you with this. And you can be surrounded by lots of people who will make it happen with you, because this is such a good cause. And it's a personal, your story within this. It's amazing. And it means you don't really need to, earn money through your coaching, because you can create a huge movement to save and help young people in depression, don't you? And she says, yes. And I said, so how can you start this movement? How can you operate that? And you see how far we went from her mission to do coaching to her mission to actually help young people go through depression so that they do not commit suicide like her grandmother. It's so different, but at the same time, she was so energetic, so energized with this mission. When she said this, she's, wow, Andrew, that's what I really want to do. That's what I'm leaving for right now. And she was ready to go right now. She wanted to, quit the call right now. So that's the power of real mission, which is aligned with yourself. You see, this is so distant from this blah blah mission that we often see at the websites. It can be something truly meaningful to you, and then if it is, how easy actually it becomes to tell this story to your employees, to your partners, to your teams, to volunteers, to investors, because it is so authentic and amazing, isn't it?
It's coming from a real reason. It's like I
Yeah.
also listen a lot to Tony Robbins, and he always talks about your reasons need to be super huge to make yourself always move in the seasons of life, which will also not be always summer. There will be winter times, and then it's going to be tough. So the reasons matter.
Yeah, that's important, because as we grow our businesses and being an entrepreneur, this is a bumpy road, right? Quite often we are hitting the wall, and the question is, do we have the reason to somehow go through this wall? Do we have the power to go through this wall? Where will we take this power from? And this why, which should be so strong, this is the resource and the reason to do it. That's why it's so important.
I read through the website and I found joyfulness fulfillment. What are maybe some of the strategies, some ideas that you can apply, share to me, to other people who are listening, watching, so that they have more this kind of effect?
Yeah. Well, already you can see the alignment of your personal life with your business life is a big thing, right? I like to say that your business should be the vehicle for you to realize your life ambitions, not the other way around, because lots of entrepreneurs, myself as well, some time ago, we are so, swallowed by the business. We give everything to the business. And it's hard to say we have life outside of business, right? So we live to nourish the business, to cherish the business, to grow the business. We give everything, right? All time, all energy, all effort, we give to the business. And quite often, this is also in our early lives. Lots of people start young, and the best years they put into the business. So this already can often lead to frustration, depression, and overwhelm, and not with this feeling of joy, because our life is not really balanced, right? And I think what really is important is that you look at your life from a broader perspective. So not just money and business or money and work, but also your social life, your relationship, your family, your health, the energy, so that all of this is under balance. And then you can say that the fulfillment comes from the fact that it's not like one element of life executed well at the cost of everything else, which very often happens, but keeping the balance in all of that. And this is what I found in high performance coaching. This is why I'm so passionate about that, because high performance coaching exactly teaches that, so that we rebalance the life and actually look for joy. Because I know lots of people who sold companies, who exited companies, and they are not happy, right? So something that we associate with happiness, like we keep working right now, we keep on grinding, and we put 18 hours a day, and then one day we'll be happy. I know many people who have lots of money who are not happy. So it's not really about that. We need to be much more balanced, and then if we keep this balance, then it's the question, okay, so how within that I'm getting to next level? What is next level really meaning for you? Which again means that this is your decision. What do you call the next level, right? Not only the next level for my business, but what's the next level for me as the CEO, as the founder, as the investor in my business? And that's the beauty.
Thinking right now about what would be the kind of planning cadence of knowing these things, because I get sometimes sucked as maybe I'm also a CEO with a company of 15, 16 employees doing around 1 million, that I like don't have time for planning, but because I'm in the daily grind all the time, right?
Yeah.
And maybe what are the practical ideas how to look back, step back, do it, look at it?
I can give you one important advice that I shared with many entrepreneurs. It was life-changing for them. Many think, and again, I used to live it that way as well, and it was a big change for me. I thought that I'm a good entrepreneur, I'm the good CEO when I'm always there, ready to support my team, ready to support my people. So I liked really this saying that the door to my office is always open, right? And this is what do. Yeah, you do it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And people love it because this is such a good, caring CEO. His door is always open. He's close to us. He's a friend. And, whenever we have questions, we can come to him. Whenever we have a challenge, he's ready to support. He's fantastic. Well, the point is that if you want to focus on something strategical, and every 15 minutes there is someone who uses the open door and comes to you for a quick advice, with a quick question or something, right? You are disrupted all the time during the day. And the magic happens when you introduce certain rules of cooperation with you for your team. So quite frankly, you close the door, right? And you say when they are open. And this when is not all the time. So you invent sort of office hours. And you say, okay, I'm ready to support my people. I'm there for them. But it can be that I'm for them on Monday since 10 to 12, and then afternoon since 3 to 5. And maybe it's every day like this. But when you start implementing that, you'll realize this is too much, right? They don't need 4 hours a day of myself. And probably lots of questions that they have, they can wait a little bit. Maybe I can have 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the afternoon. And before the sessions, they just can collect their questions and group them. And then, when 3 p.m. comes, they come to you and they have the list of 5 questions. You answer them in 5 minutes and everybody's happy, right? But you had this time outside of these office hours to work on yourself, right? It's a small shift, but I could tell you so many examples of CEOs who implemented that and they couldn't thank me enough for that advice. It changes a lot from overwhelm and being, all over the place to take control of your time. And you can do it for sure and regain at least 10 hours every week for yourself for strategic work.
Mm-hmm. If I'm looking to grow scale, what would be the key pillars or things do you recommend CEOs focus on to grow a lot? And many times here, team building, finding great people, of course, understand, very important. But maybe are there some specifically other things in your experience that have been similar leverage and really good things to focus on?
I think you should focus on what you define you should focus on in this given period of time. Because that's a very important question that you should ask yourself, maybe at the beginning of every month, like what's really critical this month? You can do it also for the week, like what's really critical this week? Because it's not about just, 3 things that you will focus on as a CEO, like you say, everybody says, just mission, people, and cash flow, right? Yeah, that's too obvious. But every time it's this time for reflection. This is, I think, why every CEO should have a coach, because this clarity is the key element of coaching. This is where it all starts. And what's amazing for me is how many times we don't have clarity, actually, what we want to achieve. Like this lady, right? She didn't have clarity about what she wants to achieve. She thought she wants to earn money with her coaching. And within 25 minutes, we turned it to something totally different. And here every week or every month, you should ask yourself the question, okay, where am I going? And what's really critical right now? What's the most important so that we actually get there? And then you focus on those elements that you defined as critical for that period and try to eliminate everything else. Or You can be engaged in other elements, other questions, other projects, but you know those three that you mentioned are the core for this month. And then you put them into calendar, and then the rest of the time, if you have some, you can spend on the other things. How does it sound?
How it sounds great. So I understand you need to have clearly knowing what is the target, let's say for a quarter or a year. And then every week or every month, you try to get clarity on what's really critical that time, which you need to work on and need to fix and solve. And then save and protect your time to not be squandered.
Yeah. What is the most critical element that will make the most difference or will advance us the most towards the target, right? Because, you know, the Pareto effect is everywhere, right? Probably 20% of what you spend time on, so 20% of activities produce 80% of results, right? So maybe you could, you know, just delegate the 80% or just eliminate some of these 80%, delegate what's remaining and focus on the 21s.
It's many times scary to look at it and think about it that way because you have gotten into a routine, what is keeping you alive or maybe at the same level. I think many people can relate to that, trying new things, changing things.
Yeah, but this routine is always like, you know, being in a wheel, right? You just keep on running. We call it routine, but actually we keep on working without really reflecting. Am I using my time the best? Am I focusing on what's really important? Because what you know, the real high performance do, they still have 24 hours, right? They just use this time differently, right? And if you analyze their journey and how they do things, it's not because they work all the time. Rather, they look for much more balance because you need the energy, you need health. And if you are in poor condition, like physically, then the outcome at work will be poor as well, right? If you don't protect your mindset and how you basically work with your inner talk and how you basically convince yourself about your capabilities, then the outcome will be corresponding to your mindset, right? If you do not have like understanding of your interactions with people or how you influence them or how you can influence them, it will be much harder to manage teams for you. So we need really to balance all of that because they all contribute to the results. They all contribute to high performance. So that's the key.
You have a lot of experience in negotiation, I can imagine. Getting fundraising, selling companies, building teams. What is something that you have found to be effective in kind of influencing other people's decisions or kind of influencing in general?
Yeah, so few elements that came to your mind when you were asking this question. First, you really need to understand the other person or the other side interests, like what they are after. When we were negotiating the contract, you know, selling XTRF, which was my IT business, I often had this session that was started by the lawyers and say, now we have a tough point to discuss today. I said, okay, what's this point? And they were naming the point, and I was addressing the buyer, and I was saying, okay, so how do you look at this? What's important in this for you? Where's the risk for you? What do you want to protect? What's your wish? What are you after? And by understanding what they want to achieve within this point and what I want to achieve with this point, I mean, what I want to obtain and what risk I want to secure, it was almost always very easy to come to terms. And quite often the solution was outside of what the lawyers were thinking. So they were often very surprised when we were done like in 5 minutes, you know, really 5 minutes. So it's not being so obsessed about what you want, but asking the questions so that you understand what the other side really wants, how they understand this, because maybe they perceive something in a different way than you, and actually coming in front of their expectations is not that difficult for you, or is not that, you know, expensive for you. You just didn't think about this. And if they understand what you want to protect, maybe we can come up with the way of structuring the deal in such a way that both are okay. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you also about when you're selling the business, how is the day before the sale? What's going through your mind?
Stressful, will they sign, right? Will everything go well?
Okay.
Yeah, because you do not know till it's done, right? You do not know it till it's done. So it was a very intense period, but already signing the LOI, so letter of intent, which is this let's say draft declaration of the structure of the contract with major conditions of the contract, letter of intent. And then it's due diligence, which is a lot of work. And then it's negotiating the final deal, or maybe, in between, it's negotiating the final deal. And then you expect all of this will come to a successful end with a champagne and everything. But basically you work on these documents till the end, right? So something can happen. Of course, you feel like it's going well. It's nothing unexpected can happen. But things can happen. In our case, when we were going through signature of the contract, there is this point where they transfer the money, and they click transfer, and it didn't arrive, right? So we are signing the sales of shares, and the money didn't go through. And it's like, okay, what do we do now, right? Of course, we were assisted by the lawyers, and they explained that the structure of the deal is in such a way that if the money doesn't arrive, basically the contract will be void and will not kind of come to execution, so we can turn it back. But there are always situations that can happen, right? When I was buying my investors out, it was during pandemic. We saw an opportunity in buying our investors out. Everybody was freaked, with what's happening on the market. They were all freaking out. I knew that also we're thinking about building another fund. So I thought it would be useful for them to have a success story. They sold with profit a company that they invested in before. And this is how we came to conclusion that this deal is logical. And we really negotiated the deal in difficult situations, because in pandemic, working with banks, getting credit, getting financing, it was really tough. It took me like half a year to build the structure of the deal. But I needed some credit from the bank. And can you imagine that in the morning, when they came from Warsaw, they came to Krakow to sign the contract. In the morning, I got the information from the bank that they had, I don't know what kind of a sanitary alarm, and they need to clean the bank or do something within the bank. So all the employees are asked out of the building, and they cannot process the loan that I was expect to get so that I can pay when we signed the deal, right? So I didn't have money like 10 minutes before we signed, right? So things can happen. And of course, this is like a stressful moment, but everybody is like super energized. So we hope we'll come up with whatever solution is needed. So that's
by the way, what happened with the transaction of the sale when you said that the money didn't come in?
That's a good story for the end of interview, but I can put it here. I think it was Thursday. The money didn't come through, right? So on Friday we signed till the end, so we concluded the contract. So on Friday I was checking my phone, it didn't go through. On Saturday I was checking my phone. You can imagine me clicking every 5 minutes, refresh on the account, bank account statement, right? It wasn't there. Sunday, of course, it wasn't there. It was Sunday. On Monday, in the morning, it wasn't there. And early afternoon, I got the call from the kindergarten that our daughter, who was like 2 years old, she doesn't seem to feel good. We should take her to the doctor. We went there to the kindergarten, took her to the doctor. The doctor said, look, this is like heavy or acute pneumonia. You should take her to hospital. I said, when? He said, right now. She's 2 years old. Here you go, right immediately. You don't go home. You go straight on to hospital. On my way to hospital, I got the money, right? On my way to hospital, I was bing, and I saw all this, quite a, nice transfer of money that I was working for like 20 years. It arrived on my way to hospital with a little daughter. And this was an amazing experience because it really like grounded me by saying, look, there is other elements of life that are very important. it's fantastic that you have this money right now on your bank account, but right now you're driving pretty fast. You shouldn't look at your phone. You're driving pretty fast to the hospital right now. And this first night I spent in the hospital with her, and my partner, she just delivered like a burger or something so that I could eat it at night when the kids went to sleep. It was like 11 p.m. when I ate something, cold burger and some French fries and stuff. This was my dinner on the day when I made most of my money, right? Where I really signed a big deal for myself. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. How much other elements can change your perception of the situation. And by the way, when laying on this bed, and there was lots of kids because it was pandemics, right? So there's lots of kids, it was full. So I didn't have my bed. I could just, sleep aside here and try to squeeze myself somehow. And I saw the label on the bed in hospital. And I remembered this brand was a brand for which we were doing translations of their products, which were hospital beds, like 10 years before in the other translation company that I had before. So it was all coming back. This was amazing, crazy experience. The money went through. We needed to wait a few days with the celebration, and we went out of hospital in a few days, and we could celebrate at home, but not that day when the money came, right?
That's a great story. Looking back now, right?
Yeah.
It might have been super stressful these kind of days and that situation. Crazy.
Yeah, it was totally crazy.
I saw on your website you have something interesting about one-on-one meetings. My kind of playbook is talk about wins, things I noticed, what are you gonna do this week, and how are you feeling emotionally, physically, etc. That's how I kind of do these one-on-ones. What's your framework and how does it work?
How is it working for you?
Hard to say. I am lacking discipline of doing like a routine. And one month I do it, another month I don't do it.
And do you feel after such meeting that you have good understanding of the situation within the department? Will they hit the target?
In some cases, maybe, in some not.
Yeah, that's really tough. That's a very common situation in lots of businesses. So you shouldn't be shy admitting that it's not perfectly working. In most of businesses, I know it's not perfectly working. And I was thinking about this for many, many years when I was the one to be the CEO as well. The point is that, those one-on-ones, they often are a good meeting, with the line director or whoever who likes to talk about topics which are comfortable for them and tries to avoid topics which are not comfortable, right? And I often felt, and I can hear it also when I assist in some one-on-ones of my clients, that people tend to use more time within topics who are comfortable so that there is little time remaining and maybe we can avoid, uncomfortable discussions, right? Which leads to the, conclusion that at the end, the CEO doesn't really have a full picture of what's happening. We try to make this call or meeting pretty nice, but nothing real really comes out of this. And typically we only discuss the successes and what was good. So it's not really working. And the structure that I suggest is that, first of all, the owner of the meeting, so who leads the meeting, is not the CEO. It's this person, right? This is clever, no? So it's something new. So it's not about me as the CEO asking questions, right? It's about the person coming to me with their information. And what information I expect them to come with. So they have their targets. And let's imagine we talk with the VP of sales, so sales director, right? So they know the target, right? What I'd like to hear first is what do they measure to understand if they are on track to hit the target. So their KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. What do they measure to know by themselves that they are on track towards their target? Look, this is their story. No, there is nothing about me there, right? What do they measure about their target, right? So they should come up with KPIs, say what they have measured, and what it tells them towards their journey, towards their target. Right? That's important. So I expect not only the numbers, but also their analysis. So how they perceive the numbers. How do they resonate around these numbers? And I think this is super important, because as the CEO, not only through this meeting, I get to know what's happening within this department, but also I do not have to make my judgment about these numbers only, but I also can hear their judgments about these numbers and what they think about that, which in fact lets me look into their thinking process, into their management craft, which is fantastic. So I can really see whether I have a good person in the right position, right? Because if they show me metrics which are kind of challenging, and they have awareness about this fact, and they have some strategies what to do about this, and they show me their plan, then I know, okay, maybe it's a challenging situation. It's not always easy for everyone, but they are on top of this and they manage, they do the stuff. If I see not so good results and they don't see this is not so good, then I can see that maybe we have even deeper problem than I thought. Not only the numbers are bad, but also the person which is managing them is not aware of that, or is not having any ideas what to do about that. And here we lead to the next point of the framework. So first was KPIs with analysis, and the second is what I called improvement projects or internal projects. So basing on the KPIs and what I learned and how I analyze them, I can come up with some, let's call it initiatives or improvement initiatives that I will lead as a manager to improve the situation, right? So I can say, oh, I have measured that the conversion, from lead to opportunity is not so high. So people are not interested in testing the software or whatever, right? So I thought that there is something wrong within this process, and we will provide the training for our salespeople so that they engage people and maybe show the value of the system much faster, so that they want to move towards testing or the trial version of the system, and we'll improve this conversion rate. So I would call this a nice initiative. So this is an initiative to raise skills of conversion from leads to opportunities, or from opportunities to clients, whatever, right? So they have this initiative now that they have named. They know the goals of this. We want to raise conversion from 5% to 15 or 20, whatever. Okay. And now we can discuss how do they plan to execute on this? Like, do they need help, or do they know how to manage this, and when they plan to deliver? So there is an initiative that we can discuss. And by the way, we can also discuss the initiatives from previous meetings, right? So after KPIs, we can talk about the new initiatives, but we can also follow up on the progress and successes related to the previous initiatives that this person raised. Yeah, which is fantastic. And the third topic is where I'm really the nice person. And I say, okay, I want to offer help. How can I remove some roadblocks for you? How can I help you be more effective in managing these situations? It's not like I want to take over the ownership, but maybe there is something like I can do, and he'll tell me, if you could give me, I don't know, $200 so that we can have a nice dinner, because I need to do like the refocus meeting for the whole sales team. We need to like re-energize them. If you could spare $200 for that, I would expect that result. Maybe I can do it. So maybe there is something that I can do thanks to my position, or thanks to my knowledge, or thanks to my network. Maybe I can introduce them to someone. Maybe I can help in a certain way so that they are more successful in their work. So KPIs, improvement initiatives, and my offer of help. And that's it. That's my framework.
How often do you meet one-on-ones, let's say, with your top level management?
Well, I like to have it every week. But I wouldn't say this is the golden rule. And by the way, if we have people in the audience who do not agree with anything we're exchanging here, I think it's okay. It's good not to agree. I think we should always look at this from the perspective, okay, how can I use any points of this knowledge and maybe apply it to myself? So if you do not agree with one element, maybe you can use the other one. For me, one-on-one every week worked very well. And I like to align them on the first day of the week, so Monday, so that it's again like in the block of time, like morning, 45 minutes per person, 5 meetings, and I'm done till lunch. So that it's not like again spread around my calendar. And basically with 5 meetings, I see like my week is already somehow busy. No, I'd rather group. I'd rather group things, right? I'd rather group things. I know managers who prefer it like every second week. It probably depends also on the maturity of these line directors that you have. So, and if you know, like they are on track, they are on top of it. When they talk about KPIs, they really reason on that topic, and they have like sound judgments about what they see, and they take initiatives and they manage what they see. Then you can trust them more and have this cadence probably less frequent, right? But at the beginning, for sure, I would follow up pretty frequently, right?
Have you seen anybody test to do these type of meetings with the leadership all in one meeting? And every one of the leaders does share their kind of stuff and everybody collaborates.
So what we did, we were doing also board meetings, but they were like more strategic. And it was not going deep into every KPIs of every person, but maybe more strategic about what's important in the business this week or what's important in the business this month. This is where all board members were coming in and we were discussing that, and they could be aligned. But when you have a discussion with like sales director, maybe HR person doesn't need to spend her time or his time on that. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't rather keep everyone on these meetings because they only talk for 45 minutes, but they have to sit there for 4 hours. They might think it's like losing time a bit, right? I think the less time spent for everyone on meetings is better.
Right? More time on working, actual doing stuff, not talking about work. Yeah. Andrzej, what would be the kind of the last topic I would like to touch on? So our audience typically is Baltics, Nordics, some Eastern European countries. Mm-hmm. What would be your advice, words of wisdom, so that we can build more scalable, big businesses? Because our local markets are many times limited to this growth.
Yeah. So first of all, I wouldn't think about myself as a local company. I would always think globally. Because like you said, the market is local, but I also feel like lots of people, they say, oh, I'm from Poland, and they present like this. Hello, we are a company from Estonia. We are a company from Latvia. We're a company from Poland. Why does it matter, right? When you talk to clients from United States, tell that you are from Europe. That's enough for them, right? It doesn't really matter that much from where you are. I think it's much more important what you deliver as a value, as a solution for your clients. I would focus on that. Also, what worked really well for us, these countries now are pretty well developed. And I think this is beautiful. So we can have very nice, good, valuable customers within the domestic countries as well. And that's great. But probably there are still markets who are richer. And there are clients who value your service more. And I think it's very practical and wise to go after these markets, because you do not have to be shy or somehow feel smaller or worse than your competitors from Germany or from Denmark or Sweden or United States or Australia or Ireland. No, this is pretty much the same, right? So it's not about the provenience, where you're from. It's about how you serve clients. What is your service about? So I would definitely think about scaling internationally. I did it with my businesses. And by the way, I loved this aspect of my work, that it was selling internationally. And we could, meet so many clients from different countries, different cultures. There, of course, you should be pretty strategic so that you do not sell to everyone at the same time, because it might be like not feasible from the investment point of view. But think about the country that makes sense. Like there is demand for your services, but at the same time, the economy is standing well, so they can pay well for your services. When we were growing translation company, and the services out of Poland, majority, probably 3% of our revenues were from Poland, like 3.
Only.
Yeah, because most of our clients were in Western Europe, in Scandinavia, in United States, and they really appreciated our service. And we could charge like 3 times what our competitors were charging, and everybody was happy. So right now it wouldn't be possible, of course, because the markets are kind of leveled up. But still, maybe if you have a service that works well for your Baltic clients, maybe if you sell it in Scandinavia, they can pay 50% more and they will be super happy with that. So I wouldn't see there is any particular barrier against entering new markets other than serving clients in the language that they really want to be served and operated. But even that, with the AI is becoming so easy. And then probably you can provide the service anyway in English, and it won't be a problem for you in Latvia or for your audience, wherever they are, like Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia. It's not a problem to serve clients in English, probably for anyone right now. So I think you can all think about expanding internationally and defining what's your next market where you want to grow and why is this market attractive for you. So be deliberate about your choice. Like I think about, I like talking about sales. We often think like we sell to clients and they choose us. How have you said, I'm sure about my product, those are the 100 clients that I want to win. Like you recruit them, you know they are good for you, and you go after these clients that you kind of pre-validated, you recruited. You can do the same with the markets. Like I can sell everywhere, but I think the Netherlands will be great. Okay, if you know why is this great, then focus on this market and go there. Like you can recruit the market, you can recruit the clients.
Yeah, that's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, so, don't be shy. Go after it.
And that's what I think more of us need. At least my people who come to us for marketing services, I always push that, and I also do it for my own business.
Yeah, but also that's I think where the value of coaching comes, because most of my clients, they know the answers, like they have ideas. What they lack is they lack the time to ask the question, like get clarity on the question, and then have the time to actually reflect on that. Because if we get to this question, like the very important question, okay, which country do you want to sell to outside of your domestic market? This could be a good question. And then we can develop on this. And then if we reflect more, so how can we do it? Of course, you can ask me for advice. But even yesterday, I had a meeting with a client from Estonia, by the way. And he asked the question, I said, what do you think? And he named like 5 possible ways of addressing this challenge. And I say, you see, it's not about the answers. You know the answers. It's about actually executing on them, because that's where the biggest challenge is. Because we are so overwhelmed with everyday operations, issues, challenges, and questions that even if we know the answers and we know the strategies, most of the time we don't even implement them. We don't even try that. And that's where coaching comes in, so that we define what's the goal, then we list the possible options, we challenge each other on just to choose the best option, and then it's this accountability part where we say, okay, so what do we do about this? Like let's move to action, because without action nothing happens. And I think that's the key.
I think it's super true. Without action, there's nothing happening. And we like to say, stay sharp and make a move. We have a big sign here. Maybe you don't see
it. So you're halfway through.
So, Andrzej, thank you a lot for your time. Right now, we have also cemented ourselves in the internet history with our conversation, which will be publicly available throughout the ages.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.